What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the first Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. I am your host, Robbie Haytayan. Joined with me are my three amazing co-hosts, Andrew Quinn, Seamus Zarlingo, and Justin Lowe. Guys, the Boston Celtics are officially back. They took on the Memphis Grizzlies tonight in their first preseason action of the 2025-2026 NBA season. They picked up the W, guys, 121-103. Obviously, tonight we did not get to see Anthony Simons in his new threads alongside Peyton Pritchard and Neemias Queta. Those three players were out, guys, but the Boston Celtics, they're back. They picked up an impressive win on the road in their first game. You guys know the drill here. Our initial thoughts, reactions, and takeaways for the first Celtics W of the 2025-2026 campaign.
I mean, high intensity, fast pace, things that we've heard this past month, these past 2 weeks in training camp, kind of indecisive of the direction of where this team is going. Obviously, just one preseason game. A lot of key guys were out in this one for the Celtics as well as the Memphis Grizzlies. But let me tell you this, this was a very, very good first game. Even if the Celtics G League guys had blown it at the end, which it was looking like they were going to, this was still a very, 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 very good game. And this is definitely a step in the right direction. Obviously, with the way things ended last season and the moves that had to be made in the offseason due to salary cap, the Celtics lost a lot of talent, but they also brought a lot of talent back in. And we saw that talent on display tonight. And boys, the Celtics are back and we're back. And we have a lot to talk about. We'll kind of, give our initial thoughts on the game, but we do have a lot of things to dive deep on. But, from a perspective of not knowing what to expect, there's probably going to be rust. Jaylen Brown getting knee surgery. Derek White had to run point. Simons and Pritchard a late scratch tonight. Everything worked for the Celtics tonight and more as they blew out the Memphis Grizzlies on the road to open up their preseason.
My goodness. We're back. We're back. I mean, we're back on postgame. And not only are we back, the Boston Celtics are back as well. And of course, they mark our being back as well. But the Celtics tonight, I mean, could we have seen a more perfect game from this particular Celtics squad after what happened over the summer? I mean, the punk rock Celtics are back. The punk rock Celtics, all right? I mean, we gotta get out all the rock music for this Celtics team because this Celtic team clearly has and owns a chip on their shoulder this season.
Right.
100%. We saw it already in this game. Chris Boucher getting into a little tiff, Jaylen Brown, a little shoving match there, and the Celtics just overall playing with effort, intensity, as if this were a more meaningful game than just the first preseason game. I mean, you think about the last two seasons, and particularly last season after the team won the title, everything seemed to be a ramp up, right? Everything seemed to be a ramp up. Now it seems like the Celtics have a bunch of young guys who are ready to play. Will it be the best play we've ever seen? Will it be the most skillful play we've ever seen out of the Boston Celtics? Absolutely not, but the effort and the energy and the intensity is going to be there with this team all season long. And I think the tone was set for that tonight in Memphis. Memphis, of course, rolled out a roster that included basically, I mean, most of their rotation was out tonight. So, I mean, the Celtics came in with the better roster. Again, no Simons. Well, let's state this. No Simons tonight, no Pritchard, no Queta. And that even brings thought as to what this team could look like with those three players. Obviously, Memphis, right. The roster dwindled to a point where they were not very competitive at all at any point in this game tonight. I mean, the Celtics, they grabbed a 10-point lead early on and just built off it for the entire game, as we'll eventually see in the lead tracker later on. But the Celtics, they never waned from them in this game. The Grizzlies didn't roll out a competitive roster, and we are starting to see the first returns on this team, and so far so good. However, there's more competition to be played in the future, more games to be had, and of course more players to be inserted in lineups, whether it's the Celtics opponent or the Celtics lineup themselves. But after tonight's performance, I I mean, we could get into individual performances and both ends of the floor, but overall, a 121-103 win for the Celtics to start out their preseason journey and this 25-26 journey. I mean, it was about as perfect as one could have scripted it for this team after everything that happened this summer. I mean, the dismantling of the championship team. It's now turned into this. It's almost like it feels like 16-17 again in a sense, where it's the nobody believes in us Celtics. That's where the Celtics are. And I think tonight may show this team is ready to fight that narrative and fight that uphill battle.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the key word in that is fight, because we have a lot of these young guys coming in from teams that maybe they didn't necessarily prove themselves fully and show their true capabilities, and now we have the Celtics roster. Now they have the opportunity on this team to do that. So I think there's going to be a lot of guys playing with chips on their shoulder, trying to prove to the league that they are something. And in turn, that actually gives the Celtics an advantage across the league, because we have guys that are coming in daily just ready to fight and prove something. So I really like that. And I think also having a lot of we have a lot of versatility. We have a lot of different guys that bring different things to the table, so we can really insert people into laps. We can give people opportunities to perform, and we can play around with different lineups and kind of seek out potential and see what they bring to the table. So I'm very excited with how it went, and I think that there's a lot of good things to to take from tonight.
You guys summed it up pretty well. Didn't know what to expect too much coming in tonight. Obviously, no Simons, no Pritchard, no Keita. Those are potentially three of the key pieces to the Celtics core rotation. But guys, I'm telling you what, couple guys off the bench today got me really, really, really excited. And we're gonna get into more of it. But my overall takeaway was that from a defensive standpoint, this is a team now that is kind of been deemed to have some problems. This is a team that not many people see as a great defensive team, but the hands were active in the energy. Seamus, and I mean, all of you guys, all three of you guys all said it. It was the high energy. You could have told me this was a regular season game, right? You could have put me in a room and said, I had nothing, no idea what's going on. Say, watch this game. What game of the season do you think this is? I said, game 52, maybe. And I mean, like, the energy was very, very there. And I love that from a first game of a preseason. So very, very pleased with that. I thought Brown looked great. I thought all the things you wanted to see, I think, out of these guys, you saw. With that comes our first lead tracker, and I'm so excited to say it, guys.
Back.
But the Sea of Green is so back. The Sea of Green has never been so back, guys. Tonight, the largest lead of the game comes from the Boston Celtics, 29. They had it up there in that third quarter until eventually the third squad, maybe even the fourth squad came in, and Memphis kind of chipped away at that lead. But again, the largest lead of the game for the Memphis Grizzlies was just a measly 3 points. Guys, you look at this lead tracker, you look at the Boston Celtics, you talk an X's and O's standpoint because it still was a basketball game. What did you guys like, and what did you guys see from that standpoint that allowed Boston to get out and just absolutely run away with this game tonight?
I mean, it starts on the defensive end. You kind of just said it, right? And the Celtics were these past 2 years were a very offensive-driven team, right? And you start to kind of stride away from the three-point shot a little bit. You kind of stride away from these, offensively dominating players. And, losing a guy like Drew Holiday this past offseason, that was a lot of defense just within one player from himself. So to see the Celtics come in and provide defensive pressure, the amount of pressure that was being put on the Grizzlies tonight was intense, and that was from the very start. We saw Derek White with a layup, and immediately 46 seconds into the first preseason game of the year, Derek White was picking up 94 feet, and that's something that the Celtics coaching staff has kind of really honed in on during this training camp is we are going to be known for our defense this year. We're going to be known for our fast pace this year. We're not going to be known for jacking up 73s a game. That's not what we're going to do.
Celtics aren't going to be known for jacking this year. Might be a good thing. Who knows?
I think they're going to be known I think they're going to be known for stopping the basketball. I really do. And Seamus, you mentioned it, like the Celtics are playing like they have a chip on their shoulder. Like they have something to prove. And in my eyes, they do have something to prove. They're coming off a championship just a couple of years ago, but at the same time, you lost a lot of key guys. And this year, there's a lot of people writing off the Celtics, even with Jason Tatum on this team. They don't believe that the Celtics team is deep enough. They don't believe the Celtics team is talented enough. And look, maybe not as talented as we had these previous years, but for the Celtics to do what they did tonight and come into Memphis, really, they had 5 turnovers, by the way, until Derek White was subbed out of this game in the third quarter. I texted that in the group chat. That is absurd. This new group losing 3 of their best playmakers. You throw Pritchard, Simons, and obviously Tatum out there as their probably best playmakers. And the Celtics walk away with an 18-point win on the road, and they had 5 turnovers until Derek White had to go to the bench. Derek White led with 10 assists tonight. So there's a lot of really cool things, but I think, defensively is where it all started for the Celtics tonight, and that's how they ran away with it with that lead tracker. It started on the defensive end, and they let their offense, or excuse me, they let their defense dictate their offense is what they did.
Yeah, I think the offensive end of the floor early on in this game didn't look the best. I mean, the shooting numbers were, they were in the efficient category, and you saw some of the assists out there, particularly Derek White's line. For the night, he finished with double-digit assists. But early on, the offense, from a film perspective, it just didn't seem like it was flowing all that much in the half court. And Justin, you alluded to it a little bit. The Celtics pushing that pace in transition, right, scoring some points off the fast break, and creating their offense that way, and really starting the offensive capabilities of themselves on the defensive end of the floor, like you're saying, with the active hands, active feet, the high, intense energy. That's going to be the Celtics calling card this year. And we know the Celtics have a head coach in Joe Mazzulla who, regardless of the type of roster he has, he could have the Warriors roster right now, a bunch of old guys, right? And he would still want his team to play with that young guy spirit and that young guy energy. And that's what the Celtics are playing with right now. And that's really what calibrated their offense tonight, because half court wise, I think this could be a little bit of a rough season for the Celtics, because Derek White, Jaylen Brown, we'll get to them as a duo later, but they're really good complementary players, right? Mm-hmm. Jaylen Brown, we've seen him alongside Tatum, phenomenal number 2 next to Tatum, and then White, phenomenal complementary starter, whether he's the 3rd best player on the team, the 5th best, the 6th best. We saw with that squad the Celtics had. The championship squad, it could have been anybody on any given night, but Derek White played a consistently crucial role as the 3rd guy on that team. And now these 2 guys are asked to be the definitive leaders of the Celtics. And on the offensive end of the floor, it seems like some of the aggressive playmaking that we're always used to seeing out of, say, Jason Tatum and even other stars around the league, it's a little lacking from the Celtics. And for all we want to say about Jaylen Brown, some of that aggressive playmaking is lacking. Now, we could attribute it to right now, it's the first game. It's the first game with Jaylen Brown as the number 1, Derek White as the pseudo number 2. And as the season rolls along, as the preseason rolls along as well, we'll start to see a little bit better of a return, right? Because preseason wise, I almost find, you guys play pickup, or anybody plays pickup, I feel like it's almost easier to play on the defensive end of the floor than the offensive end of the floor with a group of random guys. Yeah. Right. But defensively,
for sure.
You can let your energy and effort and intensity that dictate your game, and sort of the entire defense can bring that along. There's communication on that end of the floor. Don't get me wrong, but on the offensive end, sometimes it's the hierarchical structure. All right, who's shooting at what times? What kind of plays am I making for this guy? What kind of actions are we running to get this specific player open? Whether it's somebody like Sam Hauser in the corner, or Luka Garza going towards the rim, or Keita when he's in the lineup going towards the rim, or simply Jaylen Brown just to get him an ISO attempt. So the offense early on didn't look amazing, but I thought the defense definitely made up for it and fluffed the performance a bit. Especially the score. The score did it more than anything else, because we're watching throughout the game and it's all right, 20-point lead. All right, got up to 29, nearly 30 points tonight. And that shielded some of the The offense didn't look great in the half court at times, but the overall performance of the team and getting done ultimately what they needed to get done, which is win the game, right? Like that's going to be the entire goal of every single. It's not going to be the last 2 seasons, it was about the long-term goal of the NBA Finals and that Larry O'Brien trophy. Now it's going to be about just win. I mean, every season it's about just winning tonight's game, but
Yeah,
especially this season, it's going to be about developing in each and every game. And I thought the Celtics they came out with the correct tone, and I believe they came out with a definitive game plan tonight. I think that's underestimated when it comes to NBA teams. A lot of teams come out in preseason. We see in the NFL a lot. Week one, some teams don't play in the preseason, then all of a sudden they're like, what does our offense look like? What is our defense? What does our personnel actually match when it comes to our identity, right? Like what is the team's identity? I thought the Celtics' identity was still very much present tonight, and that's still to be built in the future, but it was very much present, and that's one of the primary things I'll take away from this game and go. The Celtics, they did there were a lot of X's and O's they did well at, and there's a lot of areas in which we know from watching these championship squads the championship squad, but we know the last 2 seasons, there's a lot of improvement to be had, but ultimately tonight, what the Celtics put on tape, I'll reiterate it. It was about as perfect as a performance could get for this spot. First preseason game in Memphis, in the Midwest. I mean, they're in my territory right now, right? We're in the Midwest, right? 4 hours south of me, right? And it's a completely new team, new team. So for tonight, I really love the Celtics performance, but there's still improvement to be had. I don't want to gloss over that whatsoever while we're praising this team for their big win.
yeah, I agree. I think at times offensively, you know, when we're setting screens or kind of just playing within offense, spacing wise, it could be it got a little mucked up occasionally. Like guys are getting downhill, and you got guys on the defense sitting and help, like sitting up the line, because we don't have those shooters right now that can really force the defense to kind of extend out to them. But keep in mind, Pritchard, Simons, guys like that, we're not in the rotation, so those guys are going to allow us to have a little more spacing, allow us to play a little more freely. And so that's something to keep in mind. And then I do think, though, they adapted nicely because offensively, they found ways to like just attack the rim. Like they applied pressure on the rim. And when they applied pressure on the rim, you saw guys coming in from weak side, grabbing rebounds, and really just like, because how that works is when you attack the rim, someone's got to step up to you. And if they don't, and so when someone steps up to you now, they're not in his play to get that rebound, and now we can get offensive putbacks and kind of play that way. So whether or not we have the shooting, like we have the length to attack, we have the ability to the explosion, the athleticism to get to the rim. But I think we really are at this point right now is just scrappy, like just scrappy, disrupt. It's not gonna be pretty, but we're gonna outwork you on both the defense and offensive end.
The punk rock Celtics, they're back.
Punk rock,
they're back. Get out some Nirvana, folks.
I'm not gonna
dust
lie.
off the albums.
Yeah,
I'm a little pissed off because Andrew just took both of my points and they're on the team. I think from like an offensive standpoint, I was pretty impressed because it kind of gave me the vibe of, okay, it's a second out of a back-to-back and it's January and Pritchard and Simons are kind of we're playing fake scenarios in our head now. And they're kind of banged up and you're going up against a weaker Memphis team. How do you generate offense, right? Okay, what's it going to look like? And I think Boston did a good job tonight without two, probably of their top 3 ball handlers, top 4 for sure, with Simons and Pritchard. They found a way because outside of Brown and of White, if this was the lineup, right, you got really nothing else from a playmaking category. From, okay, the ball's in your hand with 6 seconds, you're on an isolation look, create something, make something happen. No one else can really do it. And I think from an offensive standpoint, they did a phenomenal job. Justin, you said it earlier in the show, and I loved it. They did not let their defense dictated their offense, and that was the roadmap. And Seamus, you talked about just find a way to win the game. Their roadmap was that. And I thought, they kind of came in with a game plan, and okay, it's preseason game 1. What's our game plan? No Pritchard, no Simons. We're going to play some hard-nosed punk rock defense, right? And we're going to let that translate to the offense on the floor. I love that. And then in my head now, okay, what's it going to look like when you add Pritchard and Simons back into the lineup, which we're going to get into a little bit later? Okay, that adds something maybe to be excited about. So, in terms of extending the lead tonight, how did Boston extend that lead? I think they really, 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 really did a phenomenal job on the defensive end of the floor. They allowed that defense getting stops, getting out in transition, or running, disrupting, playing handsy defense. It was very, very new, and it was very exciting. So I think that's a big thing for me. And alongside that, guys, we had the first look at Mr. Jaylen Brown. Obviously, he had that knee surgery done this offseason. He was kind of quite the busy man this offseason. Drew Carter on the broadcast was saying it. Shout out Drew Carter.
Your guy.
About, he was Twitch streaming in the 741, a campaign and helping out with the bridge program. So he was a busy man, but he clearly had some time for some basketball in that schedule, guys. What did we think? Obviously, Brown, he only played the first half, but this is Brown's now first game of what I guess you could call, the number one option. What did we see? Did we like it? What did we not like? Overall, where was Jaylen Brown's first half performance? I know it's kind of against a weaker squad, but still stuff to pull from it.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of state the obvious: 21 points in 19 minutes tonight in the first half for Jaylen Brown. Or he might have gotten just above 20 minutes tonight, but terrific scoring from Jaylen Brown, pure score. Sounds cliche, little nervous about the ball handling, right? Like we saw a couple times where we're running the fast break, we're running the pace, and JB lost his handle or the ball's poked loose. And again, first game, JB, we're going to get a great look at JB, ball in his hands a lot this year compared to his first 6-7 seasons with Jason Tatum in there. So I didn't mean to do that. I really didn't mean to do that. I really didn't mean to do that.
Sorry, bro.
6-7 seasons.
We're gonna let it
No
slide.
way
But
you
you had to
didn't
bring
need
it
to do
up.
that. There's no way
Scal did it today. Scal did it today, and you guys saw me
Numerous times.
Scal dragged it. I didn't mean to do that. I really didn't. But no,
Don't worry,
seriously,
guys.
we're gonna get a really good look at Jaylen Brown and the ball in his hands this year. And it's not that I don't have confidence in him with the ball in his hands. And you sure as hell hope you do, because he's going to be your guy this year. But there were a couple possessions, where it's like, okay, there's pros and cons of playing fast. And with the ball in Jaylen Brown's hands on the fast break, weak side, I don't know. I'm going to have to see it a little bit more. And that this is a thing with preseason, right? Like we're sitting here talking about an 18-point win, but in reality, it was not the prettiest at times. And at the same time, like, guess what? Newsflash, people, that's what preseason's for. It's to get these types of mistakes out. It's to get these, to work with these different lineups and work out the kinks. That's why I was very impressed with the Celtics today, because not just because they won the game, but how they won it and how they played. And I expected there to be a little bit more rust. I expected there to be a little bit more, something, but there wasn't anything too crazy. But, Jaylen Brown, pure scorer, man. I mean, he looks so solid. That knee looks very, very healthy, which is something. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think that thing with Williams, first of all, he was held on the arm. He was, and I don't think Jaylen, took kindly of that being held on the arm. But also a little clip farm action. He's dipped his toes into the streaming verse. Gives him one hell of a segment to talk about on his Twitch. But no, I like it. I like the intensity, and as your leader, you want to see that from an early stage. It doesn't matter if it's preseason basketball or NBA Finals basketball. You want to see your leader go out there and compete at the highest level, and that's what JB did tonight in his limited minutes. And I don't know what we'll see of him Friday, but what we saw of him so far tonight, great. You wouldn't have thought he had knee surgery this summer.
No.
Well, I'm looking at I'm overlooking the whole incident again between Jaylen Brown and Vince Williams here, and I gotta say, Jaylen Brown. I mean, this is that moment right there, specifically the Jaylen Brown tie up, because the whole Chris Boucher thing happens, and that's
I
almost seen
love
as a
that even
one-off,
more,
right?
by the
Like,
way.
oh, yeah, that one. I love both of these incidents, right? Incidents. I love every single minute of it. But when Jaylen Brown specifically, I mean, he gets, like you're saying, kind of gets hooked, kind of gets hit, and then he just comes back. And the thing that, and this is going to sound terrible, but the thing that really riled me up and went, "Ooh, this Celtics team, there's a different tone to them right now," is the fact Jaylen Brown didn't come back and just get in his face, right? He came back with the boom, just the
Boom. Yeah.
shove, like no hesitation, just the get off me, man, like the shove. And that
Right.
right there, I'm going, that play right there. If the Celtics say win 50 games this season, I'm going to say the East, it's completely possible the Celtics win 50 games, even with this roster. I'm just saying, even with the big man, we'll
Absolutely.
talk about it. But if the Celtics do win 50 games, this could be a moment, this could be a game we look back at and go, this is where the tone of the season was set, right here, where the intensity was set, where everything when it came to the standard, when it comes to the standards of how the Celtics want to play, it was set on this night. Now, obviously, the Celtics have a long way to go when it comes to their gameplay, but in terms of their intensity and the tone they want to bring, right? The attitude, the identity of the team from just how we are approaching walking into another opponent's building or an opponent walking into our own building. The Celtics, I thought, set that tone really well today. And of course, Jaylen Brown was a huge part of that as well. But as for the offensive end of Jaylen Brown, Justin, I completely agree with you. The ball handling is just not Kyrie Irving level. It's just never going to be. Okay, Jaylen Brown is in his late 20s.
Not a lot of
And
people have Kyrie Irving level handles. Let's get that out of the way.
it's one of those things that
Pedestal to hold him to.
it's you have to kind of have it as you
Right.
I mean,
I understand. Yeah.
he's at a point of development where if he doesn't have it, it's like, okay, this is probably not going to come along. But that is where I believe the Celtics, their game plan is going to have to fit the mold of playing around Jaylen Brown and his deficits. Because we know Jason Tatum, he was turning into the all-around superstar last
Right.
year, and he really was a top 3 NBA player. And Jaylen Brown, he's a very good NBA star. Do not get me wrong. He's still an all NBA player. He's still a star. But just like other stars and all NBA players out there, certain guys, they're not number ones for a reason. They slot in as number 2, number 3, because part of that all around game, there are deficits and flaws within guys' games that keep them from being that all around player we see guys like, say, Jokic, Giannis, or Tatum achieve in this league. But Jaylen Brown, he's not quite to that level. And because the Celtics, I mean, because he's not quite to that level, the Celtics are going to have to play more so like they played tonight in transition. They're going to have to find easy points on the floor when they know in the half court, our playmaking and our rhythm and our offense, we don't have that Giannis. We don't have that Jokic. We don't have the Tatum, right? The Celtics don't have Tatum right now. That's what the Celtics are lacking. And Jaylen Brown, he's going to fill a lot of that role. But I'm when I rank Jaylen Brown, like I don't typically like to rank players because every player kind of plays a different position. Like, how am I supposed to rank a center and a point guard next to each other
I
when
agree. Totally
they both
agree.
play completely different roles? But if I'm looking at tiers, right, there's clearly this upper echelon tier of the NBA. You know, you're the top 3, top 5, then you have the top 10, and you kind of have the top 15, 20, and then, it just kind of goes down from there. We did Ian's top 100 players this summer, and he did his own ranking. But I see Jaylen Brown, if we were to do rankings, he'd be in that, you're in that 10 to 20 sphere, right? You're more in that sphere than say the top 5 sphere. And that's where I just see the Celtics essentially going, okay, well, because we don't have a top tier Tatum like we had last year, we're gonna have to mold our play a little bit here. And that's just the reality, right? Like I would love to sit here and say, oh, Jaylen Brown, wow, he looked incredible tonight. And I will say, Jaylen Brown, what impressed me tonight was the turnovers. Okay, when I'm looking at Jaylen Brown, I'm always looking at, is he turning the ball over or not? Because some games he'll come out with, oh, great stat line, rebounds, assists. You look at his turnover, 8 turnovers, and you're like, okay, that was no. Tonight he kept his turnovers low. The assist number was not very high. He was holding onto the ball a little bit. Obviously, he was very efficient from the field, and by halftime, I mean, his day was done by half. But the scoring, the ultimately the taking care of the ball, the securing of the ball. I like those two things out of Jaylen Brown tonight against a lesser defense. Everybody's going to be able to say that, but it's one of those conversations. You play who you play. You get the job done against whoever is in front of you. Jaylen Brown did as much as we needed him to do, or the Celtics needed him to do tonight. But I agree with you, Justin. There are some underlying themes to his game still present, particularly within the ball handling, and even just the general plan with the ball, right? We knew Tatum last year. Tatum would be very methodical. He'd pick the defense. And I hate to turn this into a Brown versus Tatum type thing, but the way Tatum approached every offensive possession, the approach from Brown is a little different. And I go back to something Xavier actually said on this program 2 years ago, and he said Jaylen Brown just has less of a feel for the team's offense than Jason Tatum. And that's where the Celtics and Jaylen Brown are. But this is only the first game on the road to Jaylen Brown potentially excelling ever more so in that role and really putting all the doubters, including us, to rest when it comes to his ability and actually leading an offense. Right now, I think we collectively see him in that not lower tier, but a lower tier than what Tatum was in last year and what the league's best players are in. But Brown, he has the opportunity still this year to, if he plays well and the team succeeds, he's going to put himself in that conversation. Tonight was a good stepping stone into that, I think, but at the same time, we're still seeing some of the I love the word you said, Justin, at the beginning, cliche flaws of Jaylen Brown that we've been pointing out since really he was a rookie. Almost a decade ago. This is his 10th season.
Right. Yeah.
10th season, by the way. 10th season.
Not 6 or 7.
That's 6, 7. It's
double,
10.
double digits. He's in double digits.
Like next year, 10, 11, 10, 11.
But you know what? To touch on your point about, the whole punk Celtics and Jaylen Brown thing, like what tonight told me, in Seamus, you mentioned setting the tone. What tonight told me, and I kind of started thinking about it during the Hugo and Boucher thing. And then when the JB Williams thing happened, I was like, okay, no, this ain't happening. It was, we don't have Tatum. We might not have the championship core, but we're not going to roll over. We're not just going to stop and not be the Boston Celtics. Like we are still the Boston Celtics. You mentioned them this past we're still competing for a championship. We're not going to roll over for you or anybody else. We're not going to bend our knee for anybody. And I really think that that's what tonight showed. And look at Hugo tonight. And he hasn't played an NBA game ever. He comes in tonight, and Chris Boucher comes in, has never played an NBA game with Hugo. And they're standing up for each other. Like they're not letting teams walk all over them. And it's the heat of the moment. But I'm just really impressed with what I saw tonight from the Celtics. And I don't care if it's a preseason game. Celtics aren't going to roll over. And I think tonight proved that.
Well, I also think that when you have a player like Jaylen Brown as your number one, it's going to look different, right? Just because you're number one, right, isn't this, isocentric, which he is kind of isocentric, but this methodical playmaker who can pick apart and get to his spot and just really have the defense collapse. And kind of, it really, Tatum got to a point where he had the defense on strings. It was like Jokic, right? He wants that backside helper to come over here and help to kick to the corner. He was getting that backside defender to come help. You don't have that, which again, not many teams do. That's a luxury. You go all time, you can't even find that many. You probably count them on one hand that have had that. But that doesn't mean you don't have something. And I think the Celtics, they got something with Brown. I think he is one of the best two-way guys the league has right now. I mean, his versatility is immaculate. I would really, really, really like to see Boston lean on Brown in the half court, because I completely agree with you guys. I know it's a cliche, but the ball handling is it's a little concerning because, okay, if the Celtics are going to be playing fast pace, if there's one area of concern I have really in Jaylen Brown's game in his 10th season, it's just the handling of the ball, playing fast. Sometimes he gets a little too, it's like when you're in Pee Wee and you're running down the court and you got your head down and you're dribbling the ball and you're so excited to score and you bounce it off your knee and it goes over and out of bounds. And I hate to make that comparison for Brown, but sometimes it feels like his eyes just get a little too big. But I'd love to see them hold on to and lean on Brown in the half court, right? And then have Simons and Pritchard and White really be those guys that are pushing the pace and, moving the ball around and keep taking care of the ball, in transition. But it's going to look different. There's no doubt about that, right? There's no doubt that it's going to look different. But that brings me to my next question, Andrew. When you look at the Celtics and you talk about what's going to look different, well, what's looking different is this big man core because it's actually, believe it or not, outside of Xavier Tillman, who started tonight, it's completely different. A whole new core led by Luka Garza, Chris Boucher, and Amari Williams as well. And then obviously you have Tillman and Keita who didn't play tonight. As the what did I say something? You're sitting there like,
what? You were about to say Luke Cornett. I was
about to say Luke. You know why? It's because the past we just had, you guys just interviewed Jacob Toby. If you haven't gone and seen that, go check it out. It was they did a phenomenal job, Seamus and Justin alongside Nick Franco. And it's like I'm sitting here at my desk and I'm editing. It's all I'm seeing is Cornett. So it's like in my head. And if you squint on the court, Garza kind of looks like Cornett. So you're like, is that Luke? Is that not Luke?
Can you say that?
I cannot. I can't say that. Good question. You know what? It's the preseason. I can say what I want. But all jokes aside.
In other words, breakups are hard. Breakups are hard.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm in the denial stage, right?
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
Justin. Justin.
What?
I don't know. Wait, who was just talking?
Andrew.
Okay, Andrew.
We're talking about the big man crew. I can assume where Rob's going with it. Yeah.
What did we learn? What did we learn about the big man core tonight? There we go. Took me a while.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, I think they're still, they're a little raw. Like it's like there's not one big man that's standing out where you're like, man, this is our guy. We're gonna lean on him and he's gonna take us through there. Like we gotta find ways to just utilize the big man in scenarios, kind of like Brown. It's like you put these big guys in the best situation to be successful. It's not like you can put them in any scenario and they're just gonna take over games. I thought Garza looked very good. I thought, he's in the right spots. He's, playing aggressive, being aggressive and
right.
But I don't know. I think right now I'm still kind of struggling with the big man position. I think that there's a lot that we need to work on and I think that I just don't think Garza is like right now at this point is starting material. Like I think he just kind of he's a little slow on his feet. He's a little
timing.
He just doesn't seem like he's exactly there yet. And I think I'd rather see a guy like Keita right now. And I think right now Keita is going to be our guy. And so I don't know. And I think Justin might have a little more comment on Garza, his guy.
Well, I have a question.
It's not so much on Garza. Go ahead, Rob, before I go.
Yeah.
Well, it was just like, and again, Justin, if you want to take this, you can. It was really it was open panel here, but
right.
X Tillman. I mean, where are we at? Because I'm not gonna lie. What I was paying attention for tonight was a lot of his athleticism. Does he look in shape? Last year, he quite frankly, can be brutally honest, he just looked out of shape. He looked slow.
Yeah,
he was slow to the ball. There was no first step. It was just bad. I thought he actually, believe it or not, looked in shape, looked ready for an NBA season. Play style wise, I mean, I don't know. So like, when you look at the big man core, obviously Tillman got the start. I don't know. Is there something potentially there on the back end? He's not going to be starting with Keita. So is there something there off the bench? Like, what do we think?
A guy like, I think Tillman, to be honest, I actually do. I really do like him. I think he does have that ability to. He's moving better right now, and I think does have a he does have the ability to like. I think he actually has the ability to stretch the floor, whether you like it or not. Like I think he does have the capable shot, and he's been working on it during the off season. I also think he has a good head for the game. Like I think you know, when we saw him, I mean, we saw him on the Grizzlies when he's playing. Like he actually was making a big impact on that team, and so I think the Celtics offensively could do it. The Celtics are doing a better job at finding ways to like actually implement him into the offense and utilizing him. So I like Tillman, and I think he plays hard, and that's something to work with. So I'd like to see us utilize him a little more.
Okay, first of all, Rob, what you said tonight about Xavier Tillman, that was by far there are levels to basketball, right? There is the skill level, but then there's also this whole are you in shape, right? Because the skill doesn't really matter if you're not in shape. You can't really do anything with your skill if you can't move on the floor. And
Mhm.
tonight, I thought Xavier Tillman looked better, exemplified by that alley oop from Minot. I mean, when that happened, I was going, Minot, be careful, man. That's like throwing an alley oop to Al Horford, man. That's like that's
Dude,
like
he's
throwing
Hey,
it
he's
to
only
a man.
26. He's only 26, man.
dude. What is your
But that's what I'm
Jeez.
saying. That's what I'm saying right there. Is Xavier Tillman's health last season? It's like, can he even jump and catch this ball right now? Like, but even he did get off the ground a little bit. But even that alley oop was a little like, all right, he wasn't jumping out of the Raptors. Like some of these Celtics reporters are sitting here saying, "Oh my, Xavier Tillman got up," and I'm like, yeah,
He barely hit the rim. He almost
Like,
stumped
yeah,
the
He,
rim.
he got up enough.
It's like-
He got up enough.
when the ball like hits the rim first and then goes in, like, got it,
brutal,
I
dude.
got
That's
it.
brutal.
But Xavier Tillman from that standpoint looked a little healthier tonight, but ultimately he still doesn't look all that athletic, right? I mean, I understand the knee injections and everything we heard about his summer, and really not only his summer was good. Really, it was last season that was the problem for Xavier Tillman, and now he's supposedly progressed back to a level in which he can hopefully play for the Celtics this year. I mean, last year he was basically didn't play. I mean, he wasn't playing garbage time, and those reports on his knee, in which we didn't really hear at the time, but we heard over the summer, it sort of explained all of his absences. But tonight, I think what ultimately, just on a bigger point on the big man core of the Celtics, I think it's going to be a little more solid than people think, and to a point where we're going to look at the roster at the deadline, depending on where the team's at, and even into the offseason next summer, in the summer of 2026. I think this big man core is going to be good enough for us to look at the roster and go, okay, Boucher can play, Garza can play, right? Keita can play. If we add, not necessarily Porzingis, because Porzingis was like the Kevin Durant. I mean, he was like, Rob, you used the word luxury for Tatum. I mean, that was Porzingis. That was everybody on that championship roster. But Porzingis was a luxury. After the, is there somebody out there somewhere near that level, right? Maybe not all-star level, crazy unicorn center, but someone out there who could potentially slot into this big man core, and all of a sudden it looks like 2022 again, where Robert Williams is starting and you have Daniel Tice coming off the bench, and the big man core is not too audacious. It's not, nobody's looking at it going, wow, that's the best big man core in the league, but it's undoubtedly a big man core in which is serviceable and can get the job done for what the Celtics want to get done on the floor. Specifically that team 3 years ago now, which unfortunately we're going to have to start saying 4 years ago next year. I don't know how that's even 2022, 4 years. That's insane. But that team, that big man core was serviceable. I believe this team's big man core runs the parallels of where the team was also in 2019-20, where they came into that season and the plan was to start Daniel Tice, and everybody kind of went, all right, is that really what we're doing here? It feels almost the exact same. Now I just replace the names. It's Neemias Queta, it's Luka Garza, right? It's Amari Williams, it's Xavier Tillman. I mean, that's kind of where the big man core was in 2019-20. It was Daniel Tice, it was Enes Kanter, it was a young Robert Williams at the time. It was Vincent Poirier. So runs the parallels there. But as we saw that year, the Celtics made the conference finals that year. And it was another one of those years where the team was stripped away the team before 2018-19 was supposed to contend. That team was stripped away. And then in 1920, team still made the conference finals because the culture was still there. The Brad Stevens coaching, the coaching culture of Brad Stevens, and also the front office and organization under Danny Ainge and Wick Rosebeck's leadership, all was still there in 2019-20, along with Kemba Walker just signed with the Celtics that year. Gordon Hayward was not coming back, but that was his first, I would term that as his first full year of recovery, right? That first year was just all over the place after his ankle injury. But that year, Brown and Tatum, they're ascending, right? This season is a lot different from 2019-20, but some of the parallels are there, specifically within the big man core, for the big man core to potentially exceed a level in which we believe they're going to be at. Because let's face it, these are a bunch of minimum guys right now. Every single one of them. Boucher, minimum guy. Xavier Tillman, minimum guy. Right? Amari Williams, two-way guy. Luka Garza, minimum guy. Keita, minimum guy. All of these guys are minimum guys within the big man
One of
core.
them has to hit.
But right, just like Luke Cornett, just like Daniel Tice in the past, just like guys like Nemanja Keita and Sam Hauser. Keita's in that mix too, another minimum guy. But all of those guys, can they go from minimum player to $10 million a year player like Luke Cornett, as we're seeing? I mean, right now, like Rob, seriously, 2 years ago, and we're on here like, should Luke Cornett play minutes or not? Did we ever think we were getting to a point? Like I was on the Luke Cornett train, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But to get to a point where we're sitting here like, man, having Luke Cornett right now would be really nice.
It would be really nice. Yeah, no, I mean,
but that could be Garza. That could be Keita in the future, where we go, okay, we're running with another young guy. No, we had Garza. Now all of a sudden he's playing with the Pelicans.
Right.
So I kind of want to touch on these centers. You guys are, talking a lot about these centers, and I'm excited for it, right? Like I'm excited for the unknowingness of the season going into without kind of a definitive idea of who our starting center is. Obviously, you didn't get a look at Keita tonight. You really got about 4 to 5 minutes of Amari Williams tonight. I expect him to get a longer rep in Toronto. But in terms of, I'll go through the guys real quick. I'll start with Boucher. Boucher is clearly going to stretch the floor for the Celtics.
Yeah,
his 3-point shot tonight was off. He got a few great open looks, but we know, if you know Boucher, he is a perimeter player offensively. He's a guy who could stretch the floor out, and he's a very good offensive rebounder, which seems to be a weakness of this team throughout the 48 minutes tonight, was the rebounding at times. Excuse me. In terms of Xavier Tillman, I think he looked a lot more healthy, and I think his 3-point shot still isn't there. Yes, he did work on it this offseason, and it's going to take more than just one preseason game. But I don't know. I just am not the biggest fan of X on that perimeter. He never really has been a prolific 3-point shooter. Even in his Memphis days, but that's going to take some time. That seems to be what they want to do with him, is have him stretch the floor, being an undersized big man. And then Luka Garza was really solid tonight. Got himself to the free throw line tonight. Was 2 of 3 from the floor, 10 rebounds. Tremendous rebounder. Here's what I will say about Luka Garza: right place, wrong time. That's what he is. He's in the right spots. His timing's just off. And I think that is exactly what preseason's for. Not just for new guys coming into the roster, but for everybody, the coaches, the athletic trainers, the equipment managers, the podcasters, everybody.
Yeah.
Right time. Got to be in the right time, right spot, right time, right? And Luka Garza tonight, at times, not all the time, he hit it pretty well. He's a terrific screener. He can shoot the ball, and he's great around the rim. But there's the timing is what's going to have to be improved. And again, going into this, I expected the timing to be a lot worse throughout the entire team tonight. I really did. It's not that I thought this team was going to be in the gutter, but I mean, obviously the amount of new players and the new systems that we're hearing about, and the way the styles of which we're going to play, I just figured, there'd be a lot more, timing issues, but that wasn't the case. But Luka Garza, I said this during the game to you guys, and I'm not just saying this because I love Luke, but like this reminds me of a Luke Cornett situation. And of course, I'm basing it off of one game, but which is a extraordinarily small sample size. But what was Luke known for coming into being a Boston Celtic? He was known for stretching the floor and shooting the threes. Yeah. We didn't see Luka Garza around the 3-point line at all tonight. And even when we did, he did not look to shoot the ball. I really think they're going to try to turn Luka Garza into a Luke Cornett-esque role where he's a high screen roller, protects the rim, good rebounder, who can step behind the 3-point arc if he has to, but that's not why he's going to be here. Again, based off of one game, but that's kind of what I saw. And, you know, even in game 4 of the preseason, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Like, nothing's etched in stone, but that's just kind of what I've seen from the big guys. Hopefully we're all going to get a really good look at Neemias Queta on Friday, because I think we were all going into tonight's game thinking about Neemias Queta starting. I really do. I think that our minds were set on Nemi, and we obviously found out he was a late scratch due to rest coming off the Euro trip. He'll get a good rep. He'll get a night off. But, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with the center position, and I think that's a great illusion, you know, talking about, you know, the 2019 Celtic center rotation, not really having a definitive look at the center position going into the season. But I think the Celtics are okay. You're dealing, like Seamus said, and Rob, you're dealing with a bunch of minimum guys. Like, these guys aren't supposed to be the Kristaps Porzingises, the Joel Embiids, the Karl Anthony Towns. But if you can maximize their potentials, then you can get a lot out of them, like we did with Luke.
So, I got a quick question though, just on like Garza and like comparing him to Luke Cornett, which I don't disagree with, and I can see it, but I don't know. I see Luka Garza, like, they're different. I do see them as different players in a sense, where Cornett had more of like an athletic ability, like a lob threat, like ability to like really like sprint to the rim and run that. Like,
so
Garza,
he didn't have that when he first came here. He didn't have that at all, which is why I'm making that comparison. Like, Luka came into this team with the 3-point shooting, and he didn't have the rim rolling. I think he might have that coming in, going forward with this team. I do.
Okay. All right.
And I also I want to touch on that, because Luke didn't have that last year. What made Luke Cornett so special was he used his timing to a T. He was 7'2" with incredible wingspan. And, you know, when you're 7'2" with enough athleticism and you put your arm up and you jump to block a shot, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be, if your timing's right, you're going to be there to block the shot or catch the lob or get the rebound. Right. And that's what made Luke so special, was his spacing and his timing was on key almost every time. And tonight I'm watching Garza, and he's got the same frame. And quite frankly, guys, when we're talking about the role Garza's playing, that, because it's kind of like they're going to try to mold him into Luke Cornett role, right? In some facet, like that, we know that's the direction it's going. He is more fit for that mold already coming in. Garza in college was a back to the basket. He was a post up player. His timing, his touch, it was all there. And I think he fits the mold a little bit better. And then also, just I really want to touch on something for me in the big man core. I'm really, really, really excited to see what an Neemias Queta and Chris Boucher front court could look like. It's a lot of length. It's a lot of size. I think you could get a lot from a spacing aspect and a defensive switchability aspect. I know Nemi kind of struggled in that category, switching on to guards last year, but you know, we'll have to see what it looks like. So I am excited to see that. But guys, I've waited almost an hour into the show to bring up his name.
I want to bring this up about Garza real quick. Wait a little bit longer. A little bit longer. One more quick thing on Garza. I think Garza, like you talked about, Rob, you talked a little bit about his frame. I think his size is very similar to Luke Cornett's. However, Luke Cornett, I think, is a little bit stockier in the middle, a little bit, because if you look at, I'm noticing, some people are saying it on Twitter, and people have, some highlights out on Luka Garza's game on out there, and people are pointing out how Garza, guys challenge him at the rim a little bit better than, say, a more stout center who's over there on help. And Justin, you alluded to it too. The timing, that's going to be huge for Garza. And Rob, you mentioned it too with Luke Cornett. Luke Cornett was on point every single time. Luka
Right.
Garza, I think Luka Garza has the capability to get there because he shows the actions. But Justin, you mentioned it. The timing sometimes can be maybe a step off, and that's the same thing for Keita too. The timing might be a step off, and it's about the fluidity in these guys' games. What I'll give Luke Cornett a lot of credit for is the fluidity he gained in his game. I mean, most big guys, they're a little clunky, uncoordinated. They come in and some of their rolls to the rim. You want guys aggressively rolling to the rim in control. And some big guys, they look a little wonky going to the rim, right?
Yeah.
And right. And Luka Garza and Keita can look like that at times. Even Keita in the Eurobasket tournament, for all the great numbers he was putting up there, I'm going, right, some of his rolls to the rim look a little like if you were to hit the golf ball on the Wii, like you want to have that straight shot. Like it kind of looks like, it's kind of wobbly, like some of these guys go into the rim. But that's going to be a huge thing with Garza and Keita, and that's something that Luke Cornett implemented in his game. And that's where I do have a lot of faith in these big guys. They've only been here a couple months. They've been with the Celtics a couple months. We've seen throughout the years players within the Celtics organization, they get better. They improve on the floor skillfully, but not only skillfully. Luke Cornett, I kept hitting on it, even Al Horford as well. They were in the best shapes of their life last year. Best shape of their life. And that's why Luke Cornett was able to square away all of his timing. That's why Luke Cornett was ultimately able to be so fluid within his game, is because he was in the best shape of his life. Luka Garza, he's in very good shape as well, but I mean, he can get to an even higher level with all of that, whether it's the skill on the basketball floor, but even just the fluidity within his game, the movement, the coordination going towards the rim. That's always going to be an underrated aspect of big guys' games. But that's my whole Luka Garza spiel for tonight for clip farming purposes, as it puts us over the whole Garza thing. But Rob, go ahead, go lead us into what you were. Everybody, I've been leaving everybody on the cliff. Go push them off here.
So, first of all, I agree to a T with what you just said on Luka Garza. But I can't not get into it because I've been waiting all episode, and I even texted the group, or not even episode. Geez, you guys see, there's like little details you got to switch. It's not an episode anymore. It's different things. But I've been waiting all show to get into it, and I'm gonna ask. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say in terms of, we got a lot of new additions on this team now, right? We've talked about a couple of them in the big man core, and we mentioned Simons, who didn't play tonight, but guys, we had a lot of new faces who did play tonight. Boucher, mine it. I'm going to say it again one more time. Mine it. One more time. Mine it. And then, Hugo and a bunch of new guys. So for you guys, I can't wait. I'm fine. I'll get right into it.
Hey,
Josh,
preseason, you got to get the reps in. You got to get the.
I'm sorry.
What's going to be funny is when somebody comes along and says, "My not."
Yeah. No,
why not mine?
I'd say it.
Listen, I'm gonna start us off here. In terms of new additions, who impressed me the most? Josh Minot, however you want to say it. That dude has a real role on this team. And part of me was watching this preseason game, thinking to myself, where were you last year? Why couldn't have you been on the 2025 Boston Celtics?
On the Timberwolves last year.
Because the dude has a knack for the basketball, and it reminds me of a Marcus Smart. And you talk about timing, you talk about active hands, you talk about running the break, you talk about sharing the basketball. I mean, 3 steals, 3 assists, 7 rebounds, 8 points. He was all over the floor, and I'm so excited. And I really do believe, you talk about that forward depth, guys. We talk a lot about what big man depth look like. That forward depth could be rough. You got Brown, you got Hauser, and then a bunch of question marks. And Hauser, I do think, belongs as a question mark as well. And obviously you got Boucher as well. So
Hauser is like an MLB ump. at this point. All right, it's like got the tenure. Like you can't even. It's like you can't get rid of him. Like I just haven't even.
We got the week golf, and now we got the MLB.
What I look at the starters tonight, I'm like, they just start like the Celtics are going to start Hauser no matter what, just because he was on the championship team. And I keep wanting to say championship teams. Only won the championship once, but I know the last year's team was the same team as 2 years ago. But anyway, I think Sam Hauser, he's almost like he's tenured, seniority, right? It's like, all right, he's going to get the position. Like, amidst bus drivers, when all the bus drivers are being laid off during COVID, it's like, okay, the guys with seniority, they get to stay, and then everybody else gets fired. It's like Sam Hauser is the group that stays. That took a dark turn really quick.
I think so with first of all, we've wanted wing depth for quite a while behind Jason Tatum. Now Tatum's out, we have that wing depth for when Tatum's out. And I think when you look at Minot, the length of him, like we talk about the length of Boucher and Luka Garza, like how about Minot on the wing? This guy's playing from the wing, and he's getting rebounds and his athleticism, catching lobs and or dunking on putbacks, and he could shoot the three ball. Didn't really shoot it particularly well tonight, but that shot is there for him, as well as getting after it defensively. He prides himself on defense. He would not. You see that Chris Boucher video I just sent you?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? Like, are we on in the? Am I mistaken? Are we on in the Celtics locker room right now? All right, guys, listen in. That's what we're gonna do on Friday.
We did not. I lost my train of thought. I saw your reaction to them, and I just
we're live, man, Justin. We're live. Oh, and there he goes.
And he just
and he's.
Well, but you know what? I made the comparison to a Marcus Smart, but another comparison I want to make, and I think this might be a better one, but I think he's a little bit younger and a little bit more raw, and you can develop him a little bit better, is an O'Shea Brissett. Really, really remind me of an O'Shea Brissett with 2024. High motor, really active, is just really in there to muck up the game and make some sort of play. And I can't stress it enough. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say on the new additions. But for me, it's in my head. Hugo stood out as well. Boucher stuck out. But for me, it's like, okay, what are you most excited for? What impressed me the most? Right. It was like, okay, I didn't know. Hugo, he was a first round pick, right? Pick 28. Boucher he's a vet in this league. He's got 2 rings, one with the Warriors, one with the Raptors. He's entering year 8. Like, these are established guys. Minot, you had no idea what you were going to get. He was a minimum guy. So it's like, for me, the biggest addition that I was impressed by tonight, guys, easily Minot. I'm all ears, though. I'm interested to hear what you guys got.
My laptop died.
Well, that's what Justin has. But as for Minot tonight, what I'll point out about Josh Minot is played the second most minutes on the team behind Derek White, and that is something. And I'll say what Minot displayed tonight. What I'm a little, I'm a little more faithful, right, in Minot playing a role with this team, especially the establishment of this year's team. I mean, there's going to be a lot of, like we've talked about this all summer and into this season, and front office, coaching staff, everybody's talked about it. There is a lot of opportunity on this roster. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for minutes and guys battling for certain spots. We're alluding to it with the big man core, with the wing depth, even the guard position. I mean, we're talking about who's going to start there and who's going to kind of slot in with the hierarchy within the guard position. But Josh Minot, say last year, right? And I hate to always compare and contrast players, but last year we thought Jordan Walsh was going to be that forward who stepped in and progressed into a role in which we saw him play in the rotation during the regular season with that championship level squad we saw last year in the Celtics. This year, Josh Minot, he's coming into this game tonight. He feels like it feels as if he's at a higher level than what Jordan Walsh was last year, when we were hoping, maybe Jordan Walsh can poke himself into the rotation with a better team. So that's where I think Minot this season certainly should play more minutes than, say, Jordan Walsh did last year in almost the same role. And it could be a bigger role for Minot as well. Rob, you talked about it, that wing depth. It's not very good. And Shireman tonight, Shireman was a point of disappointment tonight, unfortunately. And I maybe Griffin can defend Baylor Sharman all he wants, whatnot. But for me, Baylor Sharman, when I looked at his shooting numbers tonight, I went, those didn't change from summer league. And in summer league, we were talking about Baylor Sharman. Those numbers need to change in order for him to make an impact. And let's just face it, play within the rotation of the Celtics. You can't be shooting 3 of 11 every single night. He basically did in the summer league, and now he's doing it in the preseason. And that's where other guys such as Josh Minot, who I'll point out too, Baylor Sharman, older player, but second-year guy. Josh Minot's been in the league for now. This is his 4th season. He's been with now 2 clubs. And I never underestimate the players who have been with multiple franchises, right? There's knowledge in this building and knowledge over in another building, right? If you stay in one building forever, you might not get the knowledge at different buildings, right? Josh Minot's in a position where he can now, he's already been in a different building, unlike, say, a Jordan Walsh or unlike a Baylor Sharman, right? And he's much younger and athletic and active. And I'll also say this, there's a chance he develops further in his game as well. Comparing him to another forward last year, Torrey Craig. Torrey Craig was 34. He was dating Megan Thee Stallion before Klay Thompson came in and swooped her up. I mean, that's
true?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
You didn't know this?
I did not know that. No.
There's a whole
It all matters.
This is
it
the
all
team.
matters when it
I
comes
was
to
like,
performance on the court.
Last year when he was on the team,
many factors.
I think there was, not to get too deep into this, but
I was gonna say, I didn't know all this.
but Torrey Craig was playing with the Bulls, and I remember the Celtics visited Chicago last year, and she was sitting courtside. He was playing with the Bulls though at the time, and they were together. But then something happened. Things happen between people. I don't have the whole story, but then now Torrey. I mean, he was on the Celtics. I don't know if they were together or not there.
This sucks.
But then afterwards, Klay Thompson. I mean, my thing is the whole Klay Thompson side of it. It's like, man, Torrey Craig. I'm sure Torrey Craig's doing fine. I'm just saying. But it's like when you like the publicity of Klay Thompson coming in and taking Megan Thee Stallion. Like Megan Thee Stallion is just like objectively like she's kind of the new. She's almost like Beyonce status in a way. But what was I even talking about? Josh Minot? Okay, but back to Minot and wing depth here.
I'm sure Torrey Craig's doing fine now.
But all the wings we saw last year, right? We're like, oh, Shireman and Walsh and Torrey Craig, Megan Thee Stallion's ex-boyfriend, right? All of them. It's like there were flaws within their games that prevented them from stepping into the rotation. I look at Minot and go, there's something there to develop in his game. He's young, he's active. He played a lot of minutes tonight. I think he's at a higher level than what Jordan Walsh was last year. And just looking at all that, I'm looking at Josh Minot and going, why can't he be the 7th, 8th guy on this year's roster this year? Now, the one thing, it's a little young. But also, it doesn't have a celebrity girlfriend yet, hopefully. So that's another thing with these players.
For the better.
You don't think these celebrity girlfriends check Spotrac? Like, come on, folks.
Maybe, yeah.
Like Klay Thompson when they see a 37 and then they see under Torrey Craig a 3. Like, okay.
Seamus,
maybe we should bring Torrey Craig back. Maybe Torrey Craig will perform.
That's what the Celtics team doesn't have to worry about. It's because, like, I'm saying, a lot of these guys, they're making a 2 or a 3. It's like, I'm sorry, but a lot of these groupies, they're looking for that 37, that 42, that 50. It's like that's why Jason Tatum. It's like he's with LMA. You think LMA would be with I don't know.
Anyways,
I'm not going to go down that route of calling out a play.
Anyways, no, I like Minot. I think he's one of those. I think to go even in more depth here.
Go ahead, Andrew. My lord.
I just agree with these new additions. Like, I really like it because we've talked about it earlier, but they all have something to prove. And when you all have something to prove, there's this like internal competition within your team that kind of pushes guys to exceed and get better and produce. So I like that. And I think Minot is one of those guys. I like it now because we have wing depth and players that have more potential. They have a higher ceiling, so it gives these guys a little more a little more to work with when we have like guys like Torrey Craig and guys that just don't have high ceiling. I even see Shireman. He just doesn't have as high of a ceiling right now. And at this stage of the Celtics, you kind of need guys that have a high ceiling that can develop and potentially help the Celtics for years to come. And I just don't see Shireman or those guys being as
So,
having as much potential as these new additions.
so
I
with
think
Josh
the
Minot,
newbies.
what?
Sorry, I was gonna say I think the newbies outshined the.
No, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? I think we got more out of the guys that like for me, it's like I look at Walsh, I look at Shireman, and then maybe even Tillman. Like if I want to throw him in like the players that are coming back role.
Hauser.
I think the new guys like Minot, Hugo, Boucher, Garza, I think they outshined them. And I think they were kind of like almost in a sense like, hey, you know, you could get it. You got a sense, and this is something we talk about all, you know, off season guys. Like they're playing, these guys are on minimums, right? And they weren't on a championship core. They don't kind of have that in the back of their mind. Like
Boucher.
they're coming to take minutes, right? Like it's like when a quarterback comes to camp when there's a quarterback battle, right? No one cares. You don't care if you were here last year. I'm coming to take your minutes. In a sense, I saw what Minot was doing, and I saw what Hugo was doing, and I saw what Boucher to a lesser degree, but Garza, because Boucher is going to play as a vet. Like you could tell, like these are guys that were on the back end of a bench, and the reason they signed with the Celtics wasn't for money, wasn't to compete for a title, wasn't for, if I were to guess, the living environment, right? Boston's not, you know, beautiful 70-degree weather all, you know, 24/7, you know, 365 days a year. It's why? To get minutes. They want to play. These guys want to be on the court
And
playing.
they've paid their dues in other teams waiting for this opportunity.
They have
So they're
been
ready to
waiting
take advantage.
100%. And I think the newbies kind of outshined the guys that were comfortable in Boston, right? Let's just say it. I think Walsh and maybe even Tillman and Sharman may got a little comfortable, may got a little complacent. I think these newbies are coming to take their spots. Sorry.
Well, just really quick because my laptop died. Minot before we move on. Like something that impressed me, like listening to him talk during training camp. It's like he would not shut up about defense. He went on and on and on and on about defense. And we talked about it earlier in the show how tonight we saw the Celtics defense dictate their offense. That's something that I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm hoping that is something that we see moving forward, not just for the remainder of the preseason, but for the course of the 82-game season, and then obviously into the playoffs, because we know you need defense in playoffs. So hearing that from Minot and seeing it transpire here immediately, first game, that's huge. In terms of, I want to get his name right, Ugo. That's how we say it. It's Ugo. That's how he says. So that's what we're rolling with. I mean, spectacular. I mean, absolutely spectacular tonight. His shooting's going to come along. I think that, you know, there's some ebbs and flows between overseas basketball and NBA basketball, and Scal kind of mentioned it, you know. But you know who he reminded me of defensively, especially those blocks? Former Celtic Avery Bradley. I got major Avery Bradley out of him tonight. Shoot the ball a little bit, but don't forget Avery Bradley over time became an elite offensive player. He was not that mid-range corner 3-point shooting player when he came into the league. He was primarily known and drafted for his defense to go alongside Rondo. Comes in, starts shooting the ball really well for the Celtics. I think that's what we could see out of Ugo. And Andrew, obviously you and Griffin are going to get a great look at him. I'm sure he'll be in Maine sometime. But, you know, in his time in Boston, I'm really getting Avery Bradley vibes out of him early. I don't know if many people are, but I'm getting Avery Bradley vibes out of him tonight, at least for tonight. Now, I know, you know, one game, small sample size, but and also preseason, you're playing against actual NBA players. No disrespect to Summer League, but usually Summer League, you're playing against like a handful of guys who are probably going to make an NBA roster. These guys, most of them are on the NBA roster. They might not play regular rotational nightly minutes, at least on a heavy load, but you're going to see a lot of these guys in the 2 games that you get against Memphis this season. So, you also have to take that as well. But Avery Bradley vibes out of Ugo. Do any of you guys see it now that I'm saying it?
Yeah,
I can see it. I can 100% see it. A guy who is just a defensive pest, and then offensively, I mean, there's some questions to his game, but then there's some. I mean, for me, I look at Hugo and the system he's already been over in Real Madrid. Avery Bradley was somebody who developed in the Celtics system. Why couldn't Hugo do? I got to get it right. Ugo, right? Ugo. I don't even want to attempt what his last name. I mean, there's like almost like a list in how he actually is his last name. But
I have a list, so it works for me.
it's like Gonzalez. Gonzalez.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have. I mean, I'm missing one of my front tooth, but I've never quite. I don't have the crazy list.
No, it works.
Maybe I don't.
That's what he said. So I'd like to try to respect what he says. Whether I sound like an idiot doing it or not, I'm trying to respect him. So that's what I'm going with. Whatever he
It's
finds
effort.
respectful.
It's effort, and that's what Celtics get. Effort.
But if he really becomes like, oh, you're a staple on the Boston Celtics, the entirety of America is going to be calling him Hugo Gonzalez. That's how it works. I mean, like people in Montana watching the NBA, like Ugo Gonzalez.
It's like Nikola Jokic.
It's like
I don't think that's how you say it.
Bijan Robinson. It's like it's too late. It's too
Bijan.
late.
Yeah.
Too late.
Perfect example. It's like you can't.
Too
You
late.
have to be like
What are you
Giancarlo
gonna do?
Stanton. Like he plays 1 year as Mike, and then he's like, I'm Giancarlo. And it's like, nobody knows who you are. You're playing with the Florida Marlins.
Mike.
Now, if you try to do that now, he's like, I'm playing for the Yankees. My name is Mike Stanton now. It's like, I think you already did that thing, dude. You already did it. But anyway. What point were we on? Gonzalez, he's definitely an Avery Bradley type. I can see it.
I love that. And I see that. Because Bradley, when he came in, was just like super raw offensively, but defensively. I mean, KG said all the time, like he came into camp and on defense, he was just like a menace. I like that a lot. I really like that comparison. I want to jump forward a little bit to Friday night. And because again, we had 3 key rotation players out of the lineup tonight. No Pritchard, no Simons, no Nemias. We obviously are expecting now to see them in Toronto, in Canada, Friday against the Raptors, guys. So for you, what are you looking forward to with those 3 additions in the lineup against this Toronto Raptors team?
Honestly, similar play, right? Like, I want to see consistency. You're going to go through times this season where guys are going to be in and out of the lineup, whether it's injuries or even if it's just based on matchups. You can go a lot of different ways with this team. So, as long as they're playing the same way, if they're keeping the fast pace and they're keeping the intensity level high, and they're also playing well defensively. Now, with all due respect, Peyton Pritchard's size, even though he is a menace, and he loves to pick up 94 feet, by the way, which I'm super excited about because we saw a lot of 94-foot basketball being played tonight. That's all Peyton Pritchard right there. You're also going to get to see a lot of things from Anthony Simons. Obviously, we know the crafty player he is offensively for his age, but defensively, he's been a liability his entire career. Coming into this training camp, and even prior to training camp, 4 weeks he was in Boston prior to training camp. He was working out his defense. You know what? He wasn't taught defense. Simple defensive mechanisms out in Portland. In one of his interviews, he was talking about how he was just learning these new things about how to kind of swat the ball from behind or how to, kind of read the defense and shift his body. It's like, you were taught these in middle school. You're telling me the Portland Trailblazers aren't teaching you how to play defense? That's alarming. So I'm looking forward to all these new things. I think the offense, we talked about kind of the half-court offense tonight, looking a little bit stagnant, looking a little bit kind of iffy. I do think getting 2 primary ball handlers back is going to help you in a pretty major way, both off the bench and in that starting lineup. You can go with either one of those two. And then in terms of Nemi, real quick, obviously tonight we were expecting to see Neemias Queta in that starting role. He was a late scratch tonight. He is the expected, not the official, but the expected starting center moving forward for this team. So I expect to see I expect to see starting center caliber play tomorrow night from Neemias Queta, or Friday night from Neemias Queta. Had a great summer circuit out in EuroLeague. We'll see how that translates out to training camp and preseason. But I'm excited. Celtics have a really good opportunity Friday to continue to show that this is the team that they are going to be. Seamus mentioned it earlier. I'm sure he's going to mention it again soon. Continue to build the identity. And that identity is a gritty, young, tough. You're not going to bend the knee for anybody. You're not going to be pushed around. Go out there and get a win in Toronto. Obviously, it's not about the wins and losses. It's more about the execution in Toronto. But obviously, you get good execution, you get the win. It's a win-win. You leave Toronto.
I got to say, the whole notion, the narrative about Anthony Simons, nobody ever taught him defense. I mean, this is like I'm sorry, this narrative is, I'm just saying, it's pushed by the Celtics fan base and reporters. And I got to say, even the reporters nowadays, like, this is what we pride ourselves on at Celtics Talk Weekly, is being objective and unbiased. Although I don't know if we could do that about Luke Cornett, Justin up top. I don't know how we can do that. But regardless, we like to be objective. There are a lot of reporters who are just very on the hype train, right? It's like, I get credentials, hype train. I'm gonna hype up the Celtics, praise the Celtics. Right. The narrative that Anthony Simons was not taught defense in Portland. It's like, what, did he not have internet too? What, did he not have water? Like Lonzo Ball went to Cleveland. He's like, you guys had water. I didn't know you guys had water here. I didn't know Cleveland had water.
IMG should be insulted.
I know.
They talk about improvement and getting their players better and setting them up for success.
One of 30
not teaching
NBA
defense
teams,
at IMG.
One of 30 NBA teams, and really one of the most elite basketball academies for the youth basketball level, right? The high school level in IMG Academy. Tell me this man's never been taught defenses. Like, no, number one, he could have not been, he could have not been in an environment in which culturized defense, right? Like Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics and like other teams, where they just take defense and go, this is something we're hitting home and something we're going to take pride in. Portland could have been in a position, which they very much were the last couple of seasons, where they weren't taking pride on the defensive end of the floor. And that's what's different in Boston from Portland, is there's going to be pride taken on the defensive end of the floor. And Anthony Simons is going to be asked to step up on that end of the floor regardless. But the whole notion, nobody's ever taught him defense. Like, that's literally like, what, not have internet and water out in Portland and just was living in a tent and like seriously, like it's like, well, they're like Portland Trailblazers, like, how poverty can they be out there? I mean, I respect the Trailblazers. They have great graphics on their broadcast. I mean, look at here. I mean, I respect the Trailblazers. But the Celtics on Friday, we will be seeing Simons in his defense, Pritchard, Queta, and what I want to see out of the Celtics on Friday is the expansion of what we saw tonight, and especially on the offensive end of the floor. I think offensively, we noticed, yes, there's a little bit of stagnation there, and it didn't always run like free-flowing water. It ran like quicksand at times. But got to think, two of the better offensive players on the team, two of the spark plugs on the team, Anthony Simons and Peyton Pritchard, didn't even play tonight. So on Friday, what I'm looking for from the Celtics is the offensive end of the floor. Does it look more fluid? Does it look more explosive with Pritchard and Simons in the lineup? And does Queta bring an extra element to the big man core? And Queta, he's been singled out this summer as the big man who could start for the Celtics and almost the definitive starter. We've heard rumors about that all summer, although I think it comes down really to this point, preseason and training camp. But weird rumors about Queta being the starter all summer. We need to see him on Friday come in with a little higher of a professional level than we saw from, say, Garza and Tillman and everybody. And Tillman, I would say Tillman, he's on that level too of showing that professionalism. But what we're talking about in terms of impact, we know Tillman, is he a starting level center? Queta, he's going to get a chance to prove that potentially this season. And on Friday, it'll be about him making that impact, that higher impact for a big man out there, and then Pritchard and Simons implementing their offensive flow into the system. I have full faith the Celtics on Friday will come out with the same intensity as they did tonight. Could be a completely different lineup. Could be more of the young guys, less Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown played well tonight. Usually, we don't really know what happens, in preseason game to game. Coaches always structure their lineups differently from game to game, depending on the trips. We could sit back and say right now, maybe, they were on the bench tonight. So they were on the bench, but the Celtics are on a trip. It's like, maybe these guys weren't going to play until, the Celtics travel back to Boston. They play the 2 games of the Garden, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. Seems like we're going to see some of these guys on Friday, specifically because they made the trip. And I would expect Friday's game potentially to be maybe one of the only games this preseason where the Celtics roster a fully healthy team. And by fully healthy, I mean players who aren't, of course, resting. But that's what's on the docket for Friday. And it's another Celtics-Raptors matchup. And we all know the Celtics-Raptors post games in here can get a little spicy.
For some reason,
first
bread and butter. I don't know what it is.
I'm super, 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 super excited to see Simons and what he can bring, because I do think that's like our big ticket item of this, of this offseason was bringing in Anthony Simons, right? He was kind of the guy that you're like, okay, like we lost Porzingis for nothing, but we kind of upgraded from Holiday. We got a 26-year-old, 20-point per game raw scorer. It's like, who, technically, if we're going off of analytics, was supposedly the best shooter in the NBA last year in terms of volume and efficiency. Like, that's what you're bringing in, and that's what you get. And with Tatum out of the lineup, you're looking for that scoring punch. So that for me is like, because I know what Pritchard, I can see what Pritchard's going to give you this year, right? We've seen what Pritchard looks like when his role gets elevated, and he's always impressive. He's found ways to contribute to the game in different facets of just scoring. Nimi as well. I'm really looking for Nimi to not have me guessing. And I know it's early. I know it's only the second game, but I'd like that reassurance of, okay, question marks elsewhere. I know we're good on Nimi,
You know what could be a fun duo to watch, especially in the pick and roll? Nimi and Simons. I think that would be a really fun offensive duo that nobody's really thinking of or thinking that it will be. I think that could be a pretty interesting duo, and we're probably going to get a really good look at that Friday night, assuming those two suit up since they didn't tonight. Also, really quick before we close out, because I'm assuming that's where we're headed. Really, really encouraging to see Jason Tatum head on the road trip with this team. First road trip of the year.
Yeah, it's
preseason.
I missed him.
I mean, that is so incredibly huge, and that means a lot to a lot of these players, especially the new guys, right? Like to see, to be able to come to play for the Celtics and not play alongside one of the franchise greats, that sucks. So for Jason to be able to go out there and, I know it's his job, but like it again, seeing it on camera and seeing the photos and obviously the B-roll in the broadcast, like that's super cool. And I'm really, really glad that Tatum made the trip out to Memphis and now Toronto on Friday. So props to JT.
Yeah. Before we finish up too, I just want to say about the, what I'm excited for, coming up next preseason game. I think I'm interested to see Pritchard like even take a little step up in like the playmaking department, maybe. Like really creating with his dribble, getting downhill and moving the ball. Because I think he's such a scoring threat, and sometimes he can kind of get into the paint and get a little lost in there and not really find ways to move it around. And I think that would be a big thing for him to kind of not only elevate his game, but just the Celtics team itself, and even take the pressure away from Brown for having the ball in his hands a lot. And
Alleviate.
alleviate some pressure, and just even a guy like Tatum, and like, and he grow into that. So when Tatum comes back, there's more versatility in the ball handling department. So I'd like to see Pritchard kind of grow his playmaking, and we'll see if he can do that this preseason game coming up.
I think Friday night, I think it's going to be a lot more offensively pretty. I don't want to say that because I do think the defense, I do think the defense is going to be there. But for me, it's like the defense was the thing to watch, but that's not always so fun. I'd love to see the offense kind of have this pop, like I'm not saying I didn't like it. But like, it's just like I think what you're getting back is that explosion of Pritchard. I mean, you're getting like 2 20-point per game scores into the lineup, right? Like that's not nothing. Like that's how good these two guards, they're going to cause some problems, whether they're starting or coming off the bench. I'm also interested. Again, we will close out the show eventually, but I'm also interested in what the starting lineup's going to look like. Because for me, I'd love to see Simons, White, Brown, Boucher, and Caires.
Yeah.
Just saying. So I'm interested. I think that is something.
Does that qualify as a double big?
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of given 2022 vibes with the Rob Will and the Al Horford. It's can we bring that back?
Is Boucher are we sitting here and defining Boucher as a big, as a 5?
He's
hybrid.
He's a
hybrid.
I don't know.
Yeah.
From watching today's game, though, it felt more slasher, perimeter, like catching and drive and attack closeouts, and that's how he played today too. Like
he's like, I guess, a pretty good example of like today's game is like a positionless game, I guess. But yeah, no, that'd be the lineup that you're looking to.
That's what I'm looking for.
And when you say that lineup, like you're like, oh damn, that could be a competitive lineup, and like that's dangerous. Like that's not. And then you add some of those guys coming off the bench with wings and that talent, like that's. You can't look at it and be like, it does.
Some of these minimum guys off the bench, like they could get a little spicy here. But guys, again, that concludes it here from our first post-game show alongside this first Celtics preseason game of the 2025-2026 NBA preseason. They take down the Memphis Grizzlies on the road 121-103. That was your final score from the FedEx Forum, guys. The Celtics are going to be back in action this Friday at 10 p.m. 7 p.m. 7 p.m.
You just scared me.
First one of the season. A little rusty. At 7 p.m. Eastern time, guys. Against the Toronto Raptors on the road for their second preseason game. Once the final buzzer sounds there, guys, come right back here to the Celtics Talking YouTube channel. We'll have you covered for CTW Postgame Show. Guys, if you're not already, make sure you're subscribed and have post notifications on so you get alerted when we go live. We're live after every Celtics preseason, regular season, postseason, summer league, you name it, we're live, guys. So again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Rob, alongside Andrew, Seamus, and Justin, guys. Until Friday night, you guys know the deal. Go Celtics.